The Mandalorian and Grogu have a masculinity problem, and for once, I'm not even talking about Pedro.
I am a lazy 50-year-old bougie.
I am your cool slutty daddy.
I want very much to live on the right side of history.
No, this is much more of a small green problem. Well, it's ostensibly about a bounty hunter going around the universe, capturing criminals and shooting them in the face. This should obviously be a movie targeted at a male demographic. Instead, what we get is, well, now I can understand Disney's desire to try and augment the Mandalorian in some way. Once you've outfitted him with Beskar armor, you've made him pretty much invincible, and it's difficult to make a compelling character out of someone invincible. The problem with the Mandalorian was that the first series was kind of, it had one major hit, a surprise to Disney, Baby Grogu, whose main audience was women, and they made one noise.
Show it. Show him.
Oh, it's a Baby Yoda.
So he's got a mono, but he's...
It's because it's a little baby with the baby telescope.
You just masturbated the maternal instinct, and it's a well-studied effect. Even Valve, when they were doing VR research, experimented with taking objects, making them really big, and shrinking them to be tiny. And the smaller ones always had an increased emotional impact on people. Even in the animal kingdom, you can see animals react to little tiny babies, even if they're cross-species. There's some kind of biological instinct that most people have to like small things to protect them. Doesn't even matter whether they're cross-species, because it will grow up to something that you can eat. The problem is, like master anything, it's not satisfying in the long term. It can get boring. There's no substance or satisfaction like the real thing. As such, the emotional manipulation is just like Pavlov's dog, where the scientist would ring a bell at the same time he gave him food, to the point where the dog would start drooling whenever he rang the bell. The problem is, if he keeps ringing the bell while not providing any food, the dog will starve to death while drooling over the imaginary food. That's the issue with Baby Yoda. It may work the first time, maybe the second, but experience a steady drop-off as their bodies go, maybe you should just have kids of your own. And with Baby Yoda, it'd be difficult to evolve him into something of substance, because he'd have to leave behind being Baby Yoda. He can't talk, so there's no plot or social interaction.
Impressive.
He's 67, can't talk and acts like a kid, so he's clearly retarded. And both of these things means you get no character development or contribution to the plot. Just kind of tags along. And because it is just a manipulation and exploitation of instinct, Baby Yoda is no more a story point or character development than staring at Sydney Sweeney's tits as a marriage. Yeah, sure, they'll both get an instinctual reaction, but they don't have any depth. Well, except Sydney Sweeney's they have a lot of depth between them, don't they? Anyway, when you make any movie, the thing at the forefront of your mind should be the target audience. You have to know this because they inform what you create. You have to know what they like, what they want, what they're motivated by, what their morality is, so that you can reflect that in the thing that you're making. If you're making a male show, it'd be far more focused on men doing actions and deeds, heroic things, solving problems, saving people. Where if you're making a female show, it'd be far more focused on the social interactions, talking things out. Everyone's equal and the same, and we should all come to some kind of diplomatic resolution to things. It's less about the physically solving the problem, and more the social journey that we took to discuss it along the way. The feelings we talked about in hallways as we walked there.
Pants.
The issue is, I cut up the trailer just to make it easier to grab clips from. And this has only been done in rough. It's not exact by any means, but the bottom layer is generic neutral clips. The second layer is clips where Baby Yoda is the main character. And the third layer is clips where the Mandalorian is. Also, as you can see, this is the action piece. I only put it in his section because he caused it in explosions, which is definitely male entertainment. So if you just want Mandalorian doing stuff, well, you're left with that. This is a very Grogu-focused trailer, and trailers are simply condensed versions of the movie to tell people what they should expect. If anything, from the trailer, it makes it look like this should be called Grogu and the Mandalorian, which is a massive problem, because the instincts that Baby Yoda seeks to exploit only exist in half the population, and it's not the demographic that would watch a Star Wars movie. Women evolved the instinct to like random other people's babies because the men would go out in hunts, they'd take on dangerous things, and so back in time, all the women were getting help from each other. They'd help raising other people's kids. And so obviously an instinct evolved from people that wanted to help raise other people's kids. It's also an evolutionary reinforcement that if you see someone else's baby and you like it, you're more likely to have your own. Men, though, were never part of this raising. They were out hunting, fighting, guarding the town. They didn't need to evolve that instinct to protect other people's kids, because they were already protecting the town and the tribe from their enemies. They had to protect the village because it's where their family lived. And that was enough. So while Baby Yoda is a great psychological device to get people into the cinema, to get them to buy merch, it only works on a small niche of people that are interested in Star Wars. And sure, they may like Baby Yoda because he's small, weak, vulnerable, innocent, and needs protection. But the thing is, we already had people in movies that were small, weak, vulnerable, innocent, and needed protection. We called them women, preferably hot women.
You stay here while I go have a word with the guys in the tunnel. Actually, I'm just gonna go shoot them. I'll be right back.
And when they were in movies, they appealed to everybody. The men would want to protect and provide them, do great deeds, grand things in movies, all so they could win them at the end. And the women could project themselves onto them, put themselves into the position of the movie as if they're next to the man doing the great deeds to protect them. And then they get with him at the end of the movie. And while this still plays on a core instinct that humans have, it also has substance because it teaches you what you should do in your life so that you can get what he had in the movies. That if you stand up, build, focus on self-improvement, then you can be a great man doing great deeds, and the women can get the great men. Unlike Baby Yoda, this one actually has substance to it because it's improving people's lives. Because everyone knows at their core that this is true, wants to believe that it's true. That it's a lesson, a story trope that has been so true for humanity for so long that it's been passed down since time immemorial through previous stories. You can go back and look at stories about the Norse gods. It's still there. The question then becomes, why does Hollywood not do this? Because it's so obviously the correct path to go down. And I think when it comes down to it, it's because men like it, because it appeals to men, because it's focused in masculine values. They can't do the embarrassing, put-down, crapped-on men that they like to make, because those aren't the kind of men that people want to get with. This led them to search for other things that would appeal to them, and because Hollywood is very effeminate, it came up with an effeminate reason. Baby Yoda. The problem that they have, though, is that effeminate reasons only appeal to that demographic, whereas masculine values appeal to everybody. If you make movies and content and games for blokes, it appeals to the world. Whereas if you make rom-coms and 50 Shades of Grey, it appeals to half of it. What Hollywood discovered was that by cutting out men, you destroy everything. And I'm sure all the people that are focused on equality think everyone's the same and there aren't any differences between groups will be like, well, if you cut all the way... It's like, no, Lord of the Rings. That is a very masculine movie focused on hierarchical male values, and all the women talking to them can be summed up as this.
Where's Mama?
You could very easily have made a Mandalorian and Grogu movie by inversing the focus of what you're thinking about. So the Mandalorian would be the core part of the movie. Baby Grogu would be something that he had around. It would be something that he was looking after as a sort of a father-son bond. But you would focus on Mandalorian living his life, doing great deeds, protecting people. Or not, as he's a bounty hunter. Him saving people while he's a bounty hunter. And then he gets the girl at the end. So you have the father-son relationship and the sort of surrogate mother who joins. And she wants to be with him because he's a great guy. At no point in this story does Baby Yoda actually matter. It would be about the Mandalorian being amazing, Baby Yoda looking up to him, but you don't do any, oh, it's a baby hijinks stuff, because that doesn't appeal to your target audience. In fact, it puts them off, as most of the audience for Baby Yoda would prefer to see this happen on the big screen.
No! Why? Wow, that... No!
Yes.
No!
You can even see the gender divide in that video. There's cheering and there's tears, and everyone could have predicted who would have done what before the video even played. When you write stories, they will be pitched at a certain level of moral development, and you always want to base them on principle. The reason for this being it's the complexity of the story, and if you base it in principle, you satisfy everyone beneath it in the pyramid. The issue is if you pitch it at the good boy attitude, that being interpersonal accord and conformity, meeting social expectations. For example, a teenager agrees to volunteer because friends view volunteering positively, otherwise known as virtue signaling. You get your morality from everyone else around you. Pretty much all of Hollywood is based on social conformity. That's why they go to award ceremonies and are willing to spend $20,000 of their own money just so that they can repeat the same slogans that they think everyone else in the room believes.
I just want to say, finally, go Birds, and free Palestine. Thank you.
I do think that begs the question that if what you believe just comes from everyone else around you, what is the difference between you and AI actors? I mean, to be honest, there seems to be a lot of advantages with using them, to be honest. a lot of advantages. She's never gonna complain or falsely accuse her bosses to get a promotion. Baby Yoda being based purely on biological instinct, it's probably below good boy attitude into self-interest. It makes me feel good, therefore I like it. And so it's just not satisfying for everyone else, especially if you don't have that biological instinct. And this shows in reaction to the trailer. Fans are divided. Doesn't look like a movie. It's Gen Alpha Ewok Adventures, aimed squarely at 5 to 12-year-olds, which is a $1 billion market. I think this is just a side effect of everyone recognizing it's really simple and basic. So it's just assumed it's for kids. Why is the first Star Wars film back in theaters this? Rise of Skywalker was a total flop, but it at least looks like a movie. It shows how Disney have cheapened their brand, so that the first Star Wars movie in 7 years just looks like an expensive episode of TV. I loved all 3 seasons of The Mandalorian, but it doesn't look like a movie. And even places like Screen Rant realized there was something wrong. Despite how much they normally want to shill, it was like, well, the trailer wasn't really much of a surprise. I thought being overly familiar with it was the reason the trailer didn't land for me. I slept on it, but gradually began to understand. The core problem is that something is missing. The trailer lacks any sense of emotion, of feeling. What is there in there to make you care about the characters, get invested in their journeys? How's the apprenticeship going? What are the internal character-driven struggles that the duo face? All the trailer is Grogu making some cute noises and using the Force a little. It doesn't treat either of their stars as characters. Rather, they are set pieces and silhouettes. Everyone is recognizing there's something missing. It's just not complex enough. It's just too basic down at the bottom of the pyramid. Struggles, challenges, turning into an actual person and understanding why they do something. Finding out that, okay, I have this moral principle, but what are the exceptions to that? When should I break it? That's where things like Star Trek stories come into being, which leave impressions on the audience for decades.
There are 4 lights! But more than that, I believed that I could see 5 lights.
Whereas all Mandalorian and Grogu have is this.
Good shot, baby.
I wasn't expecting the first trailer to give away the plot, but it should give you a reason to become invested on a visceral, emotional level. If you're already invested, you'll love it. But if you're just curious, But if you're already invested, there's only one reason you would be.
Kill it.
My expectations and excitement are nowhere near as high as they should be. And that's because this trailer just hasn't quite worked. Even with interviews from the creators, you get, I have loved telling stories in the rich world that George Lucas created. Favreau told Deadline. The prospect of bringing the Mandalorian and his apprentice Grogu to the big screen is extremely exciting. There's not much to go on there. No because while other people would go, I can't wait to explore this. I can't wait for them to do that. I can't wait for when he has to struggle with this thing a part of his life. Instead, it was, I just want them on the screen. They're nothing more than a character, a doll, an action figure to put in a scene. That's as deep as it goes. I think it's one of the reasons we get so many cameos and things. It's just like, oh, you like so-and-so, we put so-and-so here. Does he enhance anything, bring anything? Does he shine a light on any specific aspect or principle? No, we brought action figure in, you like action figure. Everything is just so basic. That's probably not too surprising with Mandalorian Grogu, where it is literally just, oh, look, he's a tiny baby, isn't that cute? That's his only appeal, because he doesn't talk and do anything. Well, except occasionally wipe out an entire species by eating a mother's babies in front of her. I forgot about that bit. He's not just a baby, he's an evil baby. And everyone seems to understand that this is the case. The movie risks forgetting what made The Mandalorian great. I hope they don't say it's Pedro, who will be in the movie. The goal of the movie won't just be to convert Disney Plus viewers to theater goers. It will also be to appeal to people who've heard about Baby Yoda, bought the cute merch, but who've never watched the show or even considered a subscription. Welcome to your target demographic. The people that don't even watch your stuff, they just bought Baby Yoda because he looked cute. It's amazing the amount of articles that were written about this trailer that were all like, yeah, I do feel as if there's something missing, some kind of depth missing. But I think with Hollywood's current hiring practices and prioritizing of inclusion, it was inevitable. If you can only write at the level of lower foundations, you are always going to be more instinctual and rely on more basic manipulation. This attracts audiences who are at the same level of moral development, and that includes people of the social consensus. This has a habit of biting you in the ass, as everyone just eats themselves over who can virtue signal the most, so that your trailer releases to fans of just slamming Disney over Jimmy Kimmel. 2 entirely unrelated products, but it doesn't matter, because I still have to show my anger at you to prove that I'm morally superior. Mandalorian and Grogu could obviously be a good movie. It's all set up correctly with a bounty hunter that goes around the universe, bounty hunting. I think it's probably harder to mess that up than not, but some people are surprised that you can still predict the outcome of a movie before it's released. It's like, yeah, because it was inevitable. People down on this end of the scale cannot write up here. It's impossible. And the moment you see Baby Grogu taking center stage, you know where their priorities lie, and you know who they're targeting. It's the same as in James Bond, when the women started to turn him down, and he started to cry. The target market changes, and then the content of the movie goes right along with it. Disney could absolutely turn their franchises around, but they're gonna have to hire a better class of writer. Although, unfortunately for Disney, these people would all piss off Hollywood, as it would definitionally mean disagreeing with the social consensus, which Hollywood has carefully constructed over years. This is why foreign movies are still of such higher quality than things like Mandalorian and Grogu, because Hollywood's problem, it's not accidental, it was an intentional course they went down. It's perfectly possible to write good stories, even if you get your morality from everyone around you. It just means that everyone around you has to agree with the audience, and Hollywood decided to go head to head with their audience, treat them as the enemy, as the outsider, as evil, long ago. And that became obvious the moment that they thought it was their duty to insult them.
Some of the fan base just sickened me to my stomach. You're no Star Wars fan in my mind.
But those are just my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know down in the comments below. Like the video if you like the video. Subscribe more videos like this in the future, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.